This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, beginning at verse 1, and it reads, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest parts of the signs past, which I've told thee before, the signs meaning the prophecies. Verse 2, Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3, Therefore when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. I'm going to start off by giving all praises, all honor, all glory to God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kodash Barakatam. I want to say double honors to my apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and our freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwak, as well as the Akim out here listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. It's the brother Yahweh out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shemi Shai. So, searching for an article, came across this one through the Spirit, through the Kodash. Moved to do a lesson on it. Lord willingly, is edifying. So, I was listening to the brother. I forgot what his page. Matter of fact, let me look up his page. Shouldn't have had to do that. I remember closing it. I think I saw his video like last Sunday or Friday or something. But the brother, GMS, the Spirit of Prophecy. I think this is the brother. Yeah, kind of. Matter of fact, I meant to do that. So basically, he was doing a video about the different uproars and whatnot, and we're aware of, what happened in Sri Lanka, Panama. It's certain protests going around in Babylon the Great, aka America. But he was making mention of, he said it's never been, it's always been these different protests because people have been unhappy or, stand against wickedness to a degree, or, people speak up, on to a degree when things affect them, and that's why you got the military and this government preparing for uprisings here. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they know that these things are eventually going to happen, because the way the system is all set upon one another, that's why you got certain countries. Hell, I remember, what was that, beginning before Russia went to do what they did in Ukraine, they had to actually get involved because there was an uprising over in that area. And Russia had to get involved because they was killing the politicians. You had that in just with Sri Lanka. You just had it in, it's multiple places where people uprising. I know Panama, they just was uprising. So I wasn't aware of America. Slovakia, Iraq. So, through the Spirit, I was going to do a video on this. So it says, Iraq tensions soar as protesters rally against parliament occupation. And why is that? As you're seeing all these different uproars, first and foremost is because it's mentioned in the scriptures as prophecy. That's one of the signs. That's how you measure the time, by the different prophecies. That's how you know what time we're in. So that's why brothers feel that the Lord, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who you people ignorantly call Jesus Christ, is on his way coming back soon. When you look at the different prophecies and the major prophecies, this is a major prophecy, and it's taking place all across the earth. And like I said, that's what, inspired this lesson to a degree, because I agree with him. It's always been protests. Some, especially back when it wasn't so relevant, they might show you something that's going on in another country, but now they're not even reporting certain things that's going on, because they, I was listening to the elder Apostle Gabar, not to divert from topic, but he was saying how, they've been waiting for, because, they got years and decades in, All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua for putting the spirit on them, our elders to endure. But he was saying, wow, they talk about you in a war against a conspiracy theory. He was like, wow, what does that mean? It was funny the way he said it because he know what it means. But but yet still you'll tell us that we're something wrong when it's a conspiracy, something that can be proven. Well, he went into a thorough video, which he tends to do videos about scriptures about the secret counsel of the wicked. And I remember I was bringing that out at camp recently, and yeah, it's scriptures that talk about the secret counsel of the wicked because it's individuals that actually make moves behind the scenes that affect global situations. That's why it's a new world, you know what I mean? And now, you know what I mean? And it ain't like I said, we're waiting for it. They're doing it now. Why do you think the new world will be literally you in this constant state of fear and you gotta seek their approval? That's why they're about to bring people to their knees by, I forgot who quoted it, but it was a quote that somebody made that said basically, if you want to control people, you make them fear. So that's why they're gonna take away anything that will give hope. And what's the number one thing that's gonna give hope? The Bible. They want you to look upon them as gods. When they are powers, but they're not, of power, of righteous power anyway. You got all these different nations rebelling against their governments because it tells you in the scriptures when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. And that's why you have so much uproars and uprisings in the earth because people are mourning. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. It reads, thousands of Iraqis took to the streets of Baghdad Monday, so that was just 2 days ago, in counter protests as rival supporters of the Shiite Muslim cleric Muqtada Sadr extended their occupations of parliament to a third day. So it's probably some shit where somebody supposed to came out of office and they was like, man, Willie, doing some Justin Bieber type shit. You know what I mean? Like these people just, it's funny to a degree, but it's not. Then I know the U.S. Babylon, they just assassinated somebody that's supposed to be of Al Qaeda, which, almost 10 months after Iraqis went to the polls. Right. So basically they voted and whoever was supposed to get out of office didn't. And political standoff pits two key factions of the Shiite political scene between a populist Sadr with a devoted following of millions and a powerful pro-Iran coordination framework. The people will not allow a coup. Red placards held by the supporters of the coordination framework as they gathered on the main street leading to the Green Zone, the home of Parliament, which Sadr supporters have been occupying since Saturday. And, that looked like water being sprayed, if you'd have seen the videos of what happened for Sri Lanka when they took over the president's, palace, well, his mansion, and then, the thing is, these people are becoming wise and hip to it. Scriptures talk about knowing that it's high time to wake out of sleep. That's why it's amazing to see the elder apostles. You still see people sleep, but for the most part, a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people have opinions to the point where people got so much opinions, they're making statements about they think eventually they're going to have to uprise against their government. I did a video that and I was like, that show you how really brain dead the people are. Why would you even admit to that? You know what I mean? That's like sitting there saying, oh, well, yeah, there's a survey, so we're not going to record who the fuck. You know what I mean? But, you really think you ain't being recorded? They did a census. They wanted to know who owns in your fucking household. You don't think they're going to utilize that information? I'm not for sure, but I believe my elder apostles, they made a statement about how, with certain groups, I ain't gonna name no names, but they want to know your social and, this and that and your occupation and where you work and all these different things. Because so where do you think that information going? Into a database. You get what I'm saying? Because especially if you're a 501c3. And he brought out the fact of the early church, they didn't know. They basically the government was, persecuting them. So they met in secret. It wasn't you get my 501c3 tax static side, you know, and that's gonna come back to bite a lot of people in the behind. It reads, the people will not allow coup. It says it is the parliament of the people of all Iraqis, not the parliament of a select group, said 25-year-old protester Ahmed Ali, condemning the storming of government institutions. The police fired water cannons and crowds in a bid to prevent them from crossing a bridge leading to the green zone inside, with thousands of Sadr supporters maintaining their protests, waving flags and carrying placards of their leader. It's a lot of people, too. Followers of the coordination framework urged supporters not to enter the green zone, saying their objective was to defend the state and its legitimacy. After some hours, the counter-demonstration announced they were dispersing. They wanted to show their political strength, to show that they too have a base that can take over the Iraqi street. Said political scientist Ashan al-Shamiri from the University of Baghdad. And it made me just think of the scripture in Luke about, I think it's Luke 12, when it talks about, you know, think that I came to bring peace, but no, nay. Salaki, or roughly paraphrases it, but nay, I came to bring division. You got the division of the people, you know, and that's just not in Babylon. You know, you seeing it worldwide. It made me think of Salaki, Isaiah chapter 19, because it reads, the Egyptian shall fight against Egyptian. That's division. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 19. I'm going to start at verse 1, the burden of Egypt. So when we go into ancient Egypt, but today the modern day Egypt is America, Babylon the Great. So it's going to be a great civil war here. But, you know, it's going to be wars in other places as well. You saw that with the Sri Lanka situation. Behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh shall rideth upon a swift cloud and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. You know, reads, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. So the modern day Egyptian is the Babylonian, the American, you know, because they worship idols, you know what I mean? They follow the customs of Egypt, you know, and you know, Egypt or Mizraim basically just means bondage. That's why it talks about in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 68, you should go into Egypt again. You know, our ancestors went into Egypt, more than likely we did, because, you know, spirits reincarnate, you know. The Bible talks about reincarnation. You know, if you can't see that, then the Lord really truly got you blinded. And what's off about that? What's crazy about that? That make a lot of sense. When I first heard it, my spirit was like, yeah, that make all the sense. I don't think a human being gonna come back as a bird. Why would you know what I mean? But you know, you coming back in different lifetimes. That's the only way to actually, when you take the time to think about it, to pay for your judgment. You know what I mean? When it makes sense, like the Lord. It's because to punish you. That's why scriptures talk about the son shall not pay for the sins of the father, and the father not for the sins of the son. Because you're going to individually pay for what the fuck you did. And that make all the sense. Because you reincarnate. You know what I mean? Anyway, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So you're going to have the people fighting, and you're going to have these nations fighting. And I mean, this is all scriptural, and this is all playing out right in our face. Look at the Ukraine situation, Ukraine and Russia. Those were all of the same people at one point in time, just like with China and Taiwan. You think it's America really give, and then to show you how double speaking and how, you know, double forked tongues America is. On one hand, they like Biden saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not with we not basically agreeing with Taiwan's sovereignty." But then on the other hand, you got Pelosi talking about, "Yeah, we with Taiwan." I mean, it's a fucking devil. You know, you ever say the snake oil salesman ass nigga? You know, snake oil salesman. But you know what I mean? Like it's saying two different things. And the thing is, yeah, they're very interested because, like the elder was going into, this is about more than just, oh yeah, it's money involved with that. That's why China, like, no, you know, when you go into pretty much these microchips that's being made, it's a microchip shortage around the planet. And the only place that's manufacturing them on a large scale is Taiwan. And then if you wasn't aware, you know, literally, I remember right around a lockdown. So you got to remember, that's damn near 2 years ago. They was talking about how Taiwan and America basically had made a deal and they was going to mass produce chips here. I forgot what state. So this is about money and like I said, all these deals that's made between these different countries. It ain't just financial deals. Like countries like China and Russia. That's why Russia said what they said. They said, "Shit, we with y'all." So Russia ready. Like, come on, that's it says it's gonna be a guard. Onto these other nations. Like I say, and I don't know what China gonna do. May the Lord put the spirit on them to do something that's gonna make America do something. You know what I mean? Like flat out. You know what I mean? Like at the end, because the thing is this: what people don't understand, America know that this shit about to crumble. So in order to try to cover that shit up, they gonna literally start a war. That's why they went over there. They want China to do something. That's just like when the lockdown. Do you know how many businesses was already failing before they locked everything down? It says Sadir's 73 lawmakers had made up the biggest group of Parliament's 329 lawmakers, but they were unable to cobble together a government. In June, they quit, a move that made their pro-Iran rivals the largest bloc in the legislature. It made me think of what happened just recently in the UK with Boris Johnson stepping down. Fucking devil up there talking all this shit, thinking he was the shit. They made that nigga quit. You did a poor job with trying to, you nigga, get the fuck up out of here. Now you got these other people that's jockeying for position, but at the same time, they all pro and members of the United Nations. Go look up the United Nations. I remember as a younger man, pretty much a child before I became a man. I'm talking about not even my teens. I used to just come through and come across information. And I was always like, what the? I ain't gonna say I was like, what the? My mind was like, oh yeah, okay, what is this? But now that I'm in the truth and I'm an older man, that's why I know it's reincarnation. That's why I know that everything is set up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Like some of the things that we speak on in the truth, I was finding out about when I was a little kid, like the elder says. So what I mean, and not ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like it's actually spiritual. The emerald tablets of Thoth and all that. And call Loyim La Yahweh Shem Yahushua that he came and gave me the truth. Because this is the truth. If you can't see this the truth, and it's a blessing to have the truth, because the thing is, you could, be one of these random peon ass people in the world that don't see. That's what the scriptures talk about. Blessed are your eyes that see. You got people that don't even see what's going on for real, because the Lord got them blinded. We want to get rid of the government of the corrupt. And that's what the whole issue is about. And that's why you're seeing all these uproars. Again, Proverbs chapter 29 reads, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. So I'm going to bring out a few more scriptures. Lord willing, this is edifying. This is the book of Luke chapter 21. Because this is all prophecy foretold in the scriptures. Luke 21. And I'm going to start at verse 8. Anything red letter is the words of our Savior, our big brother, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who you people ignorantly call Jesus Christ. It reads, and he said, take heed that ye be not deceived. Made me think of that preacher in New York that's friends with the mayor. The mayor that's trying to get motherfuckers to drink tap water. Yeah, that's why you got filters. But this nigga, I don't leave out the house without. And some dumb ass motherfucker gonna do that. I remember when Trump was up there when they first was coming out with the coronavirus. I'm still I mean to say that. Well, it's all the spirit. With the CV, and Trump was like, well, yeah, what do you think we could do something with bleach or something? You got some, and then you had people really try to drink bleach because bleach supposedly kills everything. Like you got very simple ass people. That's why when the scriptures talk about if that right eye offend thee, pluck it out. You have people literally trying to pluck out their fucking eyeball. When it is not literally meaning that, it's symbolic. You know what I mean? You cut off, it's like cancer. If something, to save a life, you'll cut off something that's cancerous, to save and preserve the rest of the body. That's why the elders, when a man start bugging out when he got spirits on him, the elders say, don't have no contact with him. Because that spirit can affect other spirits. And you see that with the situation that was happening in Mississippi and all that. Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. Because that's why it talks about believe not every spirit. What's that? 1 John chapter 4, verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, and that's the point, commotions, and like, somewhat like a uproar. Be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So it's still other things that must take place. And we know it's major prophecies like the World War III and the MOTB. But that MOTB will be implemented first. This book of Matthew chapter 24. Point is verse 6. Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. You hearing about wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not a nation. Salakia, for the end is not yet. For the nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. These things are taking place. You know, you got this pestilence, this invisible pestilence with this MP, what they call it, the gorilla glue. That shit's sticking and ain't coming up. Yeah. You know, you got famines that's being orchestrated right now. Like I said again, they can't. It's called plausible deniability. So, like I said, you got all these people that are not even aware. It's on major news sites where they're talking about the farmers are like, oh yeah, well, there's something drastically got to be done. There's an issue with the food, but when people come across it, you're gonna have people act like they never even heard it or nothing. But the truth of the matter is, the Lord will put in your experience to remember. Oh yeah, I did hear them people out there on them highways that like they like to call us. I remember my demon used to say that shit. Wearing dresses. I'm like, I almost caught her. You know, like what? It's like I said, yeah, but you'll go to this snake oil ass salesman. Where was these men at these pork chop eating pastors during the pandemic? Where was they at when you needed spiritual guidance? You get what I'm saying? When you really was in fear and needed hope or some kind of answer. They told you, go ahead and plug up on the internet. These people that's supposed to believe in some higher power that's supposed to protect them from all things, right? They was even scared to be amongst their congregation. You know, the true Christians, because when you go into the book of Acts, it tells you that the Israelites were first called Christians in the city of Antioch. You know, they basically met in secret on basically pain of death. They took opportunities and chances where if they got caught, they would be put to death. And history shows this by, you know, the different situations when they were fed to lions. You know what I mean? They were crucified. You know. And then when you go into history and figure out the same people that was doing that back then are going to do that today, and that's just going to make reincarnation go full circle. You people, it ain't just you people, it's our people. So I read that. So this book is 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and the verse 14. It reads, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, the swords in their hands. That's prophecy. And that goes hand in hand with Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2, because it's going to be uproars, commotions, you know. For there shall be sedition. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and evading one another, that they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And, you know, you've seen that again. I keep on bringing up Sri Lanka because that was one of the more gangster ones. You know, like that was gangster. And now you about to see these people horns because, you know, the new president, they didn't even elect him. They just selected him and put him in office. And he said, well, we ain't even gonna let it get to that degree that they turned up. You know, they got QR codes out there. You can't buy gas unless you can present these. So, it like the brother Bukar Muff made a mention of. He made a statement. He said, "Oh, we ain't, you're transitioning to it now, but it ain't. We wait for it to get started. They're starting it. You know what I mean? You had certain countries create Bitcoin. Show you how funny that was. They created Bitcoin because the economy to keep the economy going. And then Bitcoin took a punch in the face. Bitcoin ain't worth as much as it was, so that kind of affected the economy even more. Not understanding that Bitcoin was just to put it out there to put the cables on you when the actual federal government, not the federal government, but the Fed, the Federal Reserve actually switches over to the digital currency. They already talked about it. I forgot who just brought it. I think it was the brother from Detroit. He just did a video about that, talking about how the Federal Reserve and the CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency, which was made mention of in the CARES Act with that stimulus money. And on top of it, when they, Satan is a motherfucker. When you take time to think about it, the Most High did pick he did a great choice picking. That devil's he played the shit out of that role. And then you got Jake don't even want to embrace theirs. I was looking at a quote that the brother put up. Matter of fact, if I can find it, I am. Matter of fact, I ain't trying to digress, but it's a hell of a quote. Said how you got to embrace the fire. Yeah, we was trying to figure out with Chris Brown. Chris Brown was charging $1,000 to take a picture with him, and when I seen this, I just saw this yesterday, and that's why I took multiple pictures. He had pictures with like 4 women, and that's why he got these goofy ass women taking pictures, spending $1,000, and then they say your girl is late on her rent, but she got pictures like this with him. But so that meant, and like I said, it was like a week or two prior, I heard how he was charging to take a picture with him. But this the quote reads, 1 Peter 1:7, that the trial of your faith being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Embrace reality even if it burns you. I've never heard of this person, but that was a hell of a statement. And then he quoted a beautiful scripture because it talks about how the Most High is going to try you, bring you through the fire. And there's multiple scriptures that talk about that. It made me think of Second Ezra's. So best believe just be prepared for things to get a lot more hotter, a lot more stuff to go on because we live in them times. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, to the statutes, and to the commandments of your power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Loyim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash Brakatham. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the 4 corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Aqua, any Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this was edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad and the land of other nations appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. So next time I'm able to come with another lesson, I want to say shalom, shalom. Mawaf lababal, shalom.